We've all seen the bank commercial where Samuel Jackson asks, "What's in your wallet?" His job was to make the credit card he was selling so appealing to you that you go take a look at the cards that you held most dear and that you protected on a daily basis. My question to you today is not what's in your wallet, but who's in your network. You should think of your network as valuable and as protected as the cards that you carry on a daily basis. Why? Because your future depends on it. Hello, I'm Essye Miller, the Principal Deputy Chief Information Officer for the Department of Defense. And I'd like to tell you a little bit of my story and the value that my network played in my career. I was born in Alabama in the early 60s amidst the civil rights era. Too young to really grasp what was going on around me, or even that I was living in one of the most historical times in our country. Too young to realize that I would one day stand on the shoulders of the leaders and icons of that time. How ironic that we find ourselves in the midst of yet another unprecedented yet pivotal time in our country. But we'll come back to that. I'm a small town girl who was blessed with tremendous opportunities beyond measure. But they didn't come without challenge. I was that skinny, quiet girl, bookworm, perfectly comfortable in a corner with a book. My parents encouraged me to get good grades, to do well, to treat people nice, all of the things that we learn as children growing up. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine I would be where I am today. Some might even dare to say I shouldn't be. But I'd say I am exactly where I need to be, sharing a little bit of myself with you today. My career started in 1985. I was in my senior year at a small liberal arts college in Alabama, all prepared to migrate to the big city and work on my MBA to become an accountant. Yet in my senior year, I grew weary of studying and decided I wanted to take a break. But taking a break meant I had to find a job. So like most kids on college campuses, I made my way to the local, career development office to look for a job. Before I knew it, I was in Montgomery, Alabama, home of the civil rights movement, with my right hand raised to take an oath of office to become an Air Force intern as a computer programmer. It turned out all of the math and computer programming classes I took would set me on a path to a career in technology. Over time, I found myself in meetings, sitting in the chairs along the walls, you know the ones where the junior folks sat to listen to the seniors make decisions. People would come in and sit at the big table in the middle of the room. No one looked like me. No women, definitely no minorities. And as I watched and listened to them make decisions about the systems I was working on, I decided I no longer wanted to be on the wall. I decided I no longer wanted a job. I wanted a career. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to drive change. I wanted to play. I no longer wanted to be on the sideline. But I had to learn to play in a male-dominated environment. So I went to see one of the seniors that I worked for professional advice, and I was told, don't worry about a career. You'll fall in love, get married, have children, and none of this will matter. Another one told me, oh, don't worry, you won't go any further than you are right now. It was a rude awakening, and I wasn't ready for somebody else to set my professional boundaries for me, because I knew those boundaries were based on biases and stereotypes. I realized I couldn't just do enough to get by. I'd have to work really hard to be taken serious. Not only did I code, but I learned to wield a soldering iron, to connect circuit boards. I could run cable and inside-outside plant. I'm dating myself, but I could do that with the best of them. Taking help desk calls or working overtime was no big deal because I was young and single and I had time. And oh, by the way, I was hungry. People in the organization soon realized how serious I was about my business. And without me realizing what was going on, some of them took me under their wing. They taught me. They stretched me. They corrected me. They did all the things they needed to do to help me grow. I didn't know it, but I had the makings of a network. 30 years later, some of those people I still stay in touch with, and several of them I consult with even today before I make a professional decision. You might be wondering why I feel compelled to share this. Throughout my time in my career, there were times you might find familiar. There were times I found myself in places where there were few women and even fewer minorities, sometimes embraced, sometimes not. There were times when big career decisions were in front of me and I wasn't quite sure what to do, but was grateful to have someone to call. There were times when I had to trade off professional goals for family reasons, only to realize that my career didn't stop. It just slowed down for a bit. There were times I didn't feel heard, only to later realize somebody actually listened to me. There were times I was passed over for promotion for a variety of reasons, some fair, some not, only to realize there were better opportunities ahead. There were times when I made mistakes and I would beat myself up and question my value, only to realize there were valuable lessons in those mistakes. There were times when things were hard just because. There are times. If you haven't already had the same or similar experiences, give it time. The thing that helped me most was having a place to turn, a trusted network where I felt safe asking questions, where I could be vulnerable when I needed advice, where I could listen and learn, where I could just be me. While not all-encompassing, I now cast those people in 3 categories of my network: a coach, a champion, and a cheerleader. Having a coach meant I had somebody to guide me along the way, someone to help develop my vision, help me with my goals. Even more importantly, somebody to tell me when I did wrong and help me get back on track. Somebody to help me capture and aspire to where I thought I wanted to go. Champions are those people you don't even know they are there. If they're paying attention to how you present yourself, they're listening to what you say, they're determining if you are credible or not. They're working on your behalf in rooms and meetings that you don't even know are taking place. You see, your champion has eyes and ears open for you and will push you for opportunities and advocate you, and you won't even know it's happening. But they do it because you have standards, you have goals, you have a work ethic, and you're serious about it all. You may not talk to them often, but they're there for you. And then there are the cheerleaders, those people that will stand on the sideline and encourage you and cheer for you, celebrate and high five when you make a big accomplishment. You all need them, but sometimes those cheerleaders aren't there to get their hands dirty with you. They're just to celebrate at the end. Now, these can be interchangeable, but when you put them together, you find that you have a winning team, a team that has your back. And I found that having a winning team will help you navigate through all of the obstacles and struggles that you will encounter. Important to note, sometimes they will find you, sometimes you will find them. But if you see somebody that you admire, don't be afraid, go talk to them. Don't rationalize that they're busy or that they won't do it. Just ask. There's no loss. There's no real risk. You won't know until you ask. Side note, there are also times when you have to reach outside of your network for help. When you do, look very carefully. Make sure you find a giraffe. You see, I read a book recently that had a great analogy of a turtle versus a giraffe. You see, turtles can only provide advice based on their perspective. And the last I checked, they can only see what's right in front of them. And they can only give you advice based on what they see. Giraffes, on the other hand, walk with their heads high. They feed from the top of the trees, and they can see a broader landscape and give you advice based on that. Which would you prefer? I mentioned earlier that we were in the midst of an unprecedented yet pivotal time in our country. Between the pandemic and social and civil unrest, we're challenging times. But you have the opportunity to have conversations that you might not have been comfortable having before. Don't waste the opportunity. You may be wondering how to do this, or even how to navigate the current environment. This is the perfect time to rely on the shoulders upon which you stand, those folks that have helped you along the way. And if you've done it right, the people in your network will be just what you need. They will have the insight and the advice waiting for you. All you have to do is reach out. But then, this may be a driver to expand your network. So, your future relies on you realizing you've not chosen a career for the faint of heart. Even tougher if you aspire to be a leader. Look around you. There are fierce female leaders in government IT, and know that every one of us has a challenge. Every one of us has a story. Heck, every one of us have had many challenges. But we've relied on people in our network for wisdom and guidance as we look to take on broader responsibility. Your future depends on you knowing yourself, being true to who you are, and showing up as authentic as you interact with other people. Because people can sense that. But in that, you'll find yourself attracting people who want to partner with you, who want to help you, who will want to invest in you, who might someday even need your advice. So 35 years later, as I prepare to retire, I hold dear the advice I get from my mentors. But I find myself establishing new and trusted relationships as I ponder what to do next. So the process never ends. So now's a good time to ask, not what's in your wallet, but who's in your network. I hope I've given you something to think about, something to ponder as you continue to address the value of the people around you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep doing great things. Thank you.